Hello, it's Delia. So I wanted to hop on here and talk a little bit about trying and exhaustion. So when you're trying, you're in resistance, and you know this because it feels like pushing a stone uphill, or I keep trying, and it doesn't help, or there's an energy with trying that's just really exhausting. And a lot of that does have to do with resistance. When you're trying to do something, you probably have, even if it's not, even if you're not consciously aware of it, you probably have a lot of judgments that are going on. Maybe you do know that you have these going on, but if you are thinking anything like, I should, right? I should already know how to do this, or it should be easier, or I shouldn't have to do this. All of the shoulds are um, resistance, because the biggest should of them all is that it shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't be like this. This situation shouldn't be like this. And whenever we're shoulding something, we're pushing it away energetically at the very least. We have beliefs and conclusions and assumptions that say it shouldn't be this way, or I should already know how to do this. Adults are very full of resistance to learning new things. And it's not fear of change. It's not all the kind of quippy answers. It's projecting that you should already know, which is a lie, but it's a really pervasive lie. So if you should already know everything, imagine um, competing with Google, right? So imagine having an underlying idea that says that you should have as much information. And this is even thinking that all the information that's available on the internet is correct, which is a whole other thing. But you should have the same amount of information available at the fingertips of your hands and at your thoughts and in conversation as fast and as comprehensively as Google. Yeah, see, when you say it out loud, it sounds pretty crazy, doesn't it, right? Uh, so when you kind of approach life from, "I should already know everything," or "I can know everything," I think one of the biggest kind of downsides, unintended consequences of the internet and Google and having, search engines that bring you information, uh, faster than you can practically finish typing, is that the expectation is that you should know everything as fast as an algorithm. And then that competition with machines or technology are better than humans gets kind of validated. So there's just a lot of nutty that goes into this trying thing that we do. And one of the biggest costs and deficits, not only to each of us individually, but as a society, as a collective, is that we shut down because we should already know. And if you should already know the same things that somebody who goes to school for, you know, 4, 8, 12 years to become a master or a professional at something, right? So you're always expecting yourself to know the same amount of information and have the same foundational information as somebody who went to school for 12 years. Does that seem fair to you or to them or to the topic? No. But the more we are shooting on ourselves, pressure, how this is bad and wrong. I should already know, which is all resistance to what is. Then you cut yourself off from not only more useful information, things that you're interested in, but you also cut yourself off from the joy of learning. I mean, because learning is a joy. It's like, oh, look, there's this whole horizon over there of stuff I've never discovered. Let's go discover it, which is very, very different from um, I should already know everything and I should be, a tax attorney and a tax accountant and a CPA and all of these expectations that we have. And yes, they are all, subconscious and subliminal, and we're not even owning that we're having these expectations. But the sign, the first telltale sign, is the stress and the tension around the should. And stress and tension is going to show up maybe as exhaustion, first and foremost. You may have to kind of build back. Why am I exhausted? Oh, well, I'm in resistance to learning this thing that I don't want to learn, or this thing that I think I should already have learned, or this thing that somebody else thinks I should already have learned. So all of that is a lot of nutty on top of a lot of resistance. So, you're tired and crazy, crazy and tired. Sound familiar? Yeah. So, part of the point of this is to eliminate the nutty that is, this conventional wisdom thing is. It's nutty and it's debilitating, and everybody loses. When there's no joy in learning, everybody loses. When there's no joy in collaboration, I have this piece, what piece do you have? You know, everybody loses. The whole society loses. The economy loses. You lose sleep, I lose sleep, we lose working together. There's just a lot of unnecessary loss based on, I'm trying because I should already know. So, yeah, it's just a lot, right? So let's just kind of release this energy. So everything in your system, known or unknown, that says that you should already know everything under the sun, and not have to learn anything anymore because you're not in school anymore, you choose to destroy it and create at all times a gazillion. Yes, I choose that. Destroy, destory, disintegrate, and erase. So destroy, we want to destroy that energetic assumption, that connection, that thing that keeps that energy stuck. Destory, which is to uncouple all of the stories, all the storylines that you have in your head that keep that thing stuck. Destroy, disintegrate. You want to disintegrate all of that clogged lies and misinformation and conclusions, decisions, assumptions. And erase, which is pretty self-explanatory. Just erase all of that impingement. So I'm not saying that you never want to learn anything new. I'm not saying that you never try anything. But there is a heat to this kind of trying. And once you take the heat out of it, the shoulds and ought to and conclusions, decisions, assumptions, and judgments, you take the heat off of it, and then it becomes fun to try new things because you're not doing it to prove anything. You're doing it for the joy of going outside of the world that you know and discover what else is possible. You're trying on something new. See how that energy is just very different when you're trying on something new and it's an adventure. It's very different from trying because I've been trying and it's really hard, right? So everything that brings up, let's destroy and uncreate at all times a godzillion. Destroy, destory, disintegrate, and erase. Destroy, destory, disintegrate, and erase. Destroy, destory, disintegrate, and erase. Yeah, there you go. Moving energy. All right. So the thing about trying and exhaustion is once you notice that you're exhausted, you may identify tired sooner than you identify stress. because frankly, everything about the world, that the conventional world right now, is stressful, and it's kind of designed that way. So instead of making yourself wrong for being stressed and or for not noticing that you're stressed, just go with the tired, because tired's pretty easy to identify. And just be curious about, I wonder if I'm resisting something. I wonder if there's something I'm resisting. And it's such a value system in a competitive world that chances are you are resisting something. And so in that moment when you're aware of this, you can just do the destroy, destory, disintegrate, and erase for whatever this energy is. And you can be curious. Um, so this is an invitation of I wonder what part of this doesn't belong to me. And you can simply return to center with consciousness, or just return with consciousness, so that you're um, starting this outward flow to get the energy out of your space, so that you're not holding on to it and it's not clouding your vision so much. So just return with consciousness, return from where it came from with consciousness, return with consciousness. Or I really like, my body's very simple, out, 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 out in mine. You have to go because you're not mine. And, everything in here is mine. So out, 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 mine, mine, mine. So when you're trying really hard, and it is hard and it's exhausting, just, kind of like be aware, like, oh, um, what am I resisting? And what if I didn't resist this? Whatever this is, what if I just stopped resisting? And just do the experiment and see for yourself what happens. So most of the time, what me and millions of others have experienced is that you just have like a relaxing a little bit. You stop fighting a little bit, and there's a little more ease in your breathing. And maybe you notice your shoulders coming out of your ears, and you giving, you a lot of time, one word that I hear a lot is spaciousness. You just have a little more space, a little more space in your head, a little more space to think, a little more availability of everything, right? So if you find yourself trying and exhausted, just be curious. What am I resisting? And you don't have to go jumping for it. Just the more you ask the question, I wonder what I'm resisting. I'm curious what I'm resisting. It'll open things up. If you do this without expecting or requiring an answer, then it works a whole lot better. Because what will happen is that something will bubble up, and you'll have a new awareness. Maybe not in that moment, or maybe with some practice, or maybe later when you're in the shower, or in a relaxed setting, not thinking about it. Something will just bubble up, and you'll have a new awareness of what the resistance is about. So give that a shot, and see what happens when you become aware of being in resistance and exhaustion. And what if you just stopped and be curious and return to sender with consciousness? Return to sender with consciousness. Return to sender with consciousness. And just notice what happens. And I'd love to hear from you. So thank you. And what else is possible?